Dr. Emmanuel Manny Hostin, an orthopedic surgeon and husband of The View co-host Sonny Hostin, is accused in December lawsuit fraudulently billing insurance. By the way, this is a Daily Caller story I'm reading. The lawsuit alleges Hostin knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services in exchange for kickbacks and or compensation, and names him among nearly 200 defendants in one of New York's largest RICO cases. Wow.
Yeah, you're married. Tom, you're married. If your husband's doing something, if he's allegedly doing something like this, you guys would know if your wives were up to some nefarious stuff. But let's just not forget who she is. She's been, for years, lecturing America about morality, inequality, systemic failures. And look at her track record. How many times has she had to go on in the past 2 months and look at the camera and do a legal apology for all the stuff that she said on the show? And then she also, on Trump's win, calling the loss because of uneducated white women that Trump won.
We have to know that. This is accused.
All accused. Yeah, all accused, but he's in the RICO. This is a big RICO case that her husband's in.
Sonny Hostin's husband just landed in a $450 million RICO nightmare. And guess who's shredding it like it's his personal comedy club, Joe Rogan? What he said, ruthless. What he implied, downright savage. It's hilarious, it's brutal, and it's packed with more twists than a season finale of a crime docuseries. Is Sonny keeping it together on air? Is Joe pulling any punches? Spoiler, absolutely not. This roast is so over the top. Even the FBI might tune in for the punchlines. Let's unpack the chaos.
Because I think Sonny is very intelligent, but she's ideologically captured.
Right.
You know, that's sort of, I think the other ones, there's a couple of the other ones, don't have to name any names, who are just very dull-minded. But I think Sonny's not one of them. I think she's smart, but captured.
Sure, I think she came into it with an agenda.
Of course.
You know.
They do everything with an agenda.
To brace yourself, because this scandal is a wild mashup of irony, sarcasm, and a legal firestorm that no one saw coming. When you hear $450 million RICO case, you're probably picturing mob bosses whispering in smoke-filled rooms. Wrong. This time, it's someone a lot more familiar. Sonny Hostin, the same one dishing out hot takes every morning, is now caught in a real-life legal saga that sounds like bad fiction, but is horrifyingly legit. The plot twist, it hits way too close to home.
I get it. I also hate Joy Behar, so I don't love you, but I also hate that squawking bird, so I hate the whole thing. And frankly, that show, you want to talk about a show that set women back, is The View. You want to talk about that show, if the CIA is engineering, Antifa and fucking the Capitol riot, some crazy misogynist engineered The View, because there's nothing worse than The View. In terms of, like, there are so many brilliant women out there, none of them are.
Here's the situation. Her husband just got hit with charges from one of the biggest financial racketeering cases in recent history. We're not talking basic fraud or everyday white-collar crime. This is a RICO case, the kind the government uses to crack down on organized crime rings. RICO stands for Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. And when that gets thrown at you, you're not just dabbling in mischief, you're allegedly orchestrating serious criminal operations. With precision and planning, this is major league lawbreaking.
That show has this very specific ideological bubble in which they operate in. You know, and they always bring on a token conservative woman and they yell over her and silence her. And, you know, they did that with Meghan McCain, and they did that with what is that other blonde woman from Survivor? Do you remember her, Jamie? She was always yelling. I mean, it's a bizarre show. I think the way before you start, I think the way you described it is brilliant, and the way we should all look at it. Of course, you're going to see race. The idea of being colorblind is ridiculous, but treat everybody. They're just human beings. Yeah. Everybody's just.
And your spouse is charged with a $450 million RICO violation. You're suddenly VIP at the financial end of days event. And just when it seems the media circus couldn't get any louder, boom, Joe Rogan jumps in, the podcast powerhouse, MMA guru, and now unofficial scandal sniper, went full blast. No mercy, no filter, just a verbal beatdown. Rogan didn't critique the crime, he seared the entire situation like an overdone steak at a truck stop diner. It was relentless, and the man did not flinch.
Mostly everything that's been said. I mean, we know that, only about 31% of Americans trust our healthcare system. We have a terrible healthcare system, and doctors suffer because of big corporations as well. Doctors that want to do good, like my husband, operates on someone even though they don't have insurance, and then has to sue health insurance companies to get paid for the work that he's been trained to.
Picture this, Rogan, effortlessly dissecting the absurdity with the swagger of someone who's seen every kind of mess. He wasn't just calling out the alleged crime, he zoomed in on the media hypocrisy, the glaring absence of accountability, and the bizarre entitlement of public figures who expect sympathy when their private worlds implode. Rogan's magic, cutting through spin with sarcasm and clarity. It's like a detective laying out a criminal's entire plan for an audience that didn't even know. They were watching a heist film. To understand the scale here, realize that for $150 million RICO fraud isn't a punchline, it's a complex, multi-person operation involving bogus businesses, forged records, and laundering schemes that would impress even the most elite crooks.
The View co-host Sunny Hostin's husband, Emmanuel Hostin, has been accused of federal insurance fraud. According to a new lawsuit obtained by Page Six, the orthopedic surgeon was one of 200 defendants named in one of the biggest racketeer, influence, and corrupt organization cases ever filed in New York. Emmanuel was accused of federal insurance fraud and, quote, getting kickbacks by performing surgery and billing a company that insured taxi companies and Uber and Lyft drivers. According to the documents, he knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services, including arthroscopic surgery.
And since this is a RICO charge, prosecutors are claiming this wasn't some solo act, it was an entire criminal framework, a web of conspirators executing one of the most elaborate financial scams. In memory, that Sunny Hostin's inner circle is tied to this. Scandalous doesn't even begin to cover it. Then enters Rogan, pointing out every contradiction in 4K resolution. You've got someone known for championing truth and justice on air now linked to accusations that suggest the opposite. The hypocrisy is stunning, like a wellness guru hoarding junk food in their closet. Rogan doesn't tiptoe around it, he blasts it wide open. While much of the media tiptoes or deflects when someone famous is implicated, Rogan flips the script. No immunity, no excuses if you're close to a crime of this size. People deserve to know, and you should face the consequences. End of story.
Show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
They get so much hate watching and
Yeah.
hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean,
Yeah.
it is a rabies infested hen house.
Scandal of this magnitude doesn't just rattle a household, it sends shockwaves through the media landscape. This isn't some minor domestic hiccup. It's a full-blown credibility crisis for institutions and personalities alike. With such a public figure at the center, there's no sweeping this under the rug. The public isn't just watching, they're demanding explanations, receipts, and a side of entertainment to go with the chaos. And stepping back into the spotlight, Joe Rogan, the ever-unfiltered commentator who has a way of making white-collar crime sound like late-night stand-up. But let's not forget the real issue here, the alleged scam itself. We're talking an intricate web of shell corporations, convoluted money trails designed to throw off even the sharpest forensic accountants, and players who probably thought they were too slick to get caught, pulling off for $150 million in fraud. Isn't a one-man job, it's a massive operation that screams premeditation and arrogance. And while the spotlight's squarely on the accused, the question lingers. How does someone married to a major media voice get wrapped up in something this elaborate?
Do you see what Whoopi Goldberg said?
What'd she say?
Whoopi Goldberg said that Biden could arrest all the Republicans and put them in jail. You just need to see how unhinged this kind of thinking is. Well, you know what Joe Biden could do? Joe Biden, you have to see it because it's so
on TV.
crazy.
She said
on television.
Mission of guilt by proximity, made Jewisher by society's obsession with watching the mighty fall. The rich and famous, after all, make for compelling scandal fodder, and Joe Rogan's relentless mocking only throws more gasoline on the fire. What's truly wild is how this entire debacle exposes the double standards baked into media culture. Sunny Hostin has long positioned herself as a mouthpiece for justice and ethics, but now that script feels completely inverted. Rogan, with his signature deadpan delivery, highlights just how bizarre this all is. How does someone who champions integrity manage to sidestep the blowback when their spouse is allegedly orchestrating one of the boldest frauds of the decade? The irony's too thick to ignore, and Rogan doesn't waste a second capitalizing on it. And if anyone thinks this is just a personal issue with no broader implications, they're in for a rude awakening. A scandal this enormous brings up serious questions about media responsibility, the blurred lines between public and private personas, and what happens when those worlds collide. Rogan's commentary slices right into that tension, hammering home the idea that no public figure should be immune from scrutiny, not even the self-declared truth tellers.
Behar, whatever her name is, as like a news source.
Did you have a stroke? No. This is the most important part.
I don't know these people.
Hey, this is the most important part. This is right after she was saying, we are run by ABC News. You should trust us, not Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. So she by saying we should trust them because they're double checked by ABC News, and then making the stupidest fucking statement. Like you didn't listen to what I said.
Yeah.
You didn't listen to what the wildlife biologist, and that's only a part of what he said.
I can't
the
believe
other
Joy
part of what he
Behar
said
didn't
was
weigh.
there was something before that where he was explaining encounters with giant.
Though, is Rogan's refusal to play nice. His raw and unfiltered reaction cuts through the usual media spin and lawyer-approved press statements like a buzzsaw. That's the appeal, he says, what everyone else tiptoes around. It's a no-holds-barred roasting session that exposes not just the alleged crimes, but the elitism that often lets such figures dodge real accountability. And let's not ignore the audience's thirst for drama watching someone so publicly virtuous get dragged into scandal is the kind of plot twist people crave. Rogan transforms what could have been another dry courtroom saga into a jaw-dropping spectacle you can't look away from. But beneath the laughter and barbs lies a harder truth: what happens to justice when fame is involved, when the spouse of a major media personality faces such serious allegations. The ripple effects are immediate and brutal. Rogan's take peels back the illusion of immunity, forcing the public to confront an uncomfortable reality. Fame doesn't protect you from fallout, it amplifies it. And in this case, the glare of the spotlight may be the harshest punishment of all.
Guys, this is why we need to seriously have a long, lengthy conversation about healthcare in the United States of America. This is basically it. So Sunny Hostin's husband was basically charged with insurance fraud. What he was doing was doing like fraudulent surgeries and then overcharging the insurance companies for them. This is what this is. So now, of course, he's now being named along with about 200 other individuals in a federal RICO charge case, guys. Racketeering.
Out looking like for the accused. It's a long legal grind ahead. Everything's at stake. Their freedom, fortune, and what's left of their reputation. For Sunny Hostin, it's a crisis-controlled nightmare juggling public perception while dealing with the gut punch of betrayal. And for Joe Rogan, he's once again proven that he's the guy who'll say what nobody else will. His takedown didn't just ruffle feathers, it shattered the polite facade that usually surrounds media scandals. As the case unfolds with new twists, depositions, and potential bombshells, the audience isn't going anywhere. They're locked in, waiting for the next revelation. And Rogan's running commentary is bound to keep slicing through the noise like a verbal wrecking ball. Why does it hit so hard? Because he doesn't let anyone off easy. When powerful people get tangled in dirty business, the public's not looking for sympathy, they want justice. And Rogan's no-nonsense approach taps right into that craving, exposing the double standards that usually shield the elite. He isn't just roasting people, he's demolishing the myth that influence equals innocence.
This is not really their audience. Their audience is a group of people they bring in to watch television shows. You know, I don't know if you've ever seen audiences before for TV shows, but a lot of them are paid. They're paid to be there. So, because they have to guarantee that there's going to be people there. So there's services that you hire. And when a show gets really, really popular, you know, like Letterman or something like that, obviously it has its own fan base.
Right.
Those people will try to get tickets before anybody else does. And in that case, they probably don't need to use a service anymore. They just get actual fans. But arguably, like, the fans, the real fans of The View that are like, oh, these ladies are on point. Most of those people can't leave the house. Like, they're probably...
Undeniably satisfying about watching someone finally say the quiet part out loud. Joe Rogan doesn't care about stepping on toes, especially when those toes belong to the polished Eli. Who are used to being tiptoed around. It's like he's holding up a mirror to a tired audience that's had enough of carefully worded statements and media spin. When you're dealing with $450 million in alleged fraud, people don't want polite euphemisms, they want the truth, raw and unfiltered. This isn't just a media blip, it's a cultural reckoning. Rogan's commentary channels the frustration of a society fed up with the rich and famous skating by. And what he's really doing is turning the outrage into entertainment, all while demanding accountability. It's not just his opinion, it's a megaphone for a public tired of privilege shielding wrongdoing. Because when fortunes and reputations of this scale are on the line, vague apologies and carefully crafted defenses aren't enough. The demand is simple: face the music. And audiences, they want that honesty served with bite and a little blood in the water.
In fairness, though, I mean, The View has to be, if you average out The View hosts, among the dumbest people on television. And it's like they say the thing that people are thinking, but they say it very directly, so they expose whatever truth. But
I don't think some of them are dumb.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think Sunny Hostin.
You think it's deliberate?
I think she's ideologically driven, and they have blinders on for sure. I don't think Sunny's dumb, but Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and it was totally baked and half baked, and you went on stage with it and just.
And that's exactly what Rogan delivers. His commentary doesn't just entertain, it carves through the protective layers that normally buffer the famous from real consequences. Now that the case is in motion, the backlash is only just beginning. This won't be a short-lived scandal, it's a slow-burn saga with headlines, plot twists, and public opinion turning with each court appearance. The media storm won't just pass, it's going to swell, fed by viral clips, leaked documents, and every awkward silence captured on camera. And Rogan, he's not done. His brand of caustic honesty has tapped into something bigger, a cultural appetite for truth-telling, even if it stings. As this case unfolds, expect more fireworks, surprise developments, shifting loyalties, and a non-stop stream of reactions from across the cultural spectrum. This isn't just a trial, it's a live-streamed implosion of reputation. And the question hanging over it all: when does the house of cards collapse, and who survives when it does? What we're watching isn't just a scandal, it's a full-blown reckoning. And Joe Rogan's roast, that was just the opening act.